Imagine finding out that your TV persona is being used without your consent. Imagine now that the show's studio is aware of it and is assisting them. Max Baer Jr. had to deal with that in 2013. He believed he had the sole right to Jethro Bodine for 23 years. It was the foundation of a commercial empire he had built with millions of dollars. However, everything was altered by an enigmatic finding. His hopes would be dashed by what CBS had been concealing, which would result in a legal war that no one anticipated. The final member of the Beverly Hillbillies was going to lose more than just money. On December 4th, 1937, Max Baer Jr. was born in Oakland, California. His entrance marked the beginning of a life influenced by tragedy, pressure, and stardom rather than simply another birth. Max Baer, Sr. His father was already well known. He was the world heavyweight boxing champion and was well known for his spectacular moves and strong blows. Mary Ellen Sullivan, his mother, introduced Irish ancestry to the family. Max Jr. was born into a world of high aspirations and dark shadows, and the Baer name was in the news. Only 3 years prior to Max Jr.'s birth, his father had taken home the world championship. The family was plagued by the fog of that win and all that accompanied it. Max Jr., who grew up in the Bay Area, witnessed the joy and grief that accompanied his father everywhere. It would influence his perception of the world and himself, but there was heartache beneath the applause. Max Baer Sr. and Frankie Campbell squared off in San Francisco on August 25, 1930. The game took a sad turn. The following morning, Campbell passed away. Inside his head, his brain had been knocked loose. For decades, boxing was plagued by the horrific details. Baer Sr. received a 1-year suspension after being charged with manslaughter. However, the suffering was too great for the punishment. He began smoking, experienced nightmares, and changed forever. When he talked about it, he started crying. Max Jr. grew up witnessing his father bear this burden. He was aware that their notoriety was linked to a fatal blow. Max Jr.'s soul was fashioned by the scars from that night. He became kinder as a result, but he also struggled to live up to his father's terrible celebrity. He felt much more burdened by his family's history. A German Jew was his father's father. He has an Irish Catholic mother. This set the Baers apart in California in the 1930s and 1940s. On his trunks, his father wore the Star of David. At a time when anti-Semitism was rampant, he displayed pride in his Jewish heritage. However, some questioned if he was sufficiently Jewish even as he did. The Baers would have been considered Jews under Nazi legislation. They were plagued by the concept during Hitler's ascent. His mother preserved Irish Catholic customs at home. Their home was occupied by two powerful cultures. Max Jr., proud but conflicted, grew up between them. Since he secretly shared this sentiment, he frequently opted for parts that mirrored it, people who didn't quite fit in. He wasn't the first member of his family to pursue a career in Hollywood. Buddy Baer, his uncle, demonstrated what was feasible. Buddy was 6'8" and had fought 66 professional bouts. He won 59 of them, knocking out 53 opponents. Twice he fought Joe Louis for the title. In 1941, he nearly won, but a disqualification ended it. After boxing acted in at least 17 films. He starred in Quo Vadis in 1951 and Jack and the Beanstalk in 1952. He also appeared on TV through the 1950s and 1960s. Watching Buddy's success gave Max Jr. hope. It showed him that there was a way to step out of boxing's shadow. That strength and charm could create a new path. Max Baer Jr. Story starts long before he became famous on TV. When he was at Christian Brothers High School in Sacramento, he wasn't just good at one sport. He was incredible at many. He earned letters in 4 sports. On top of that, he won the junior title at the Sacramento Open Golf Tournament, not once, but twice. This made people take notice, and that wasn't the end of his golfing success. In 1968, he teamed up with the legendary Charlie Sifford and won the Pro-Am tournament at the Andy Williams San Diego Open. That victory was about more than sport. It sent a message at a time when golf still struggled with diversity. Max was proving himself again and again, just like his father, the great boxing champion Max Baer Sr., and his uncle Buddy Baer, who was also a boxer and actor. Something most people don't know is that Max's first acting experience didn't even happen in the US. In 1949, when he was only 12, he appeared on stage in England. The play was Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and it was at the famous Blackpool Pavilion. For a boy from California, acting in a British theater was as far from Hollywood as you could get. But this early adventure showed that Max was ready to take risks. He wasn't afraid of stepping onto a new stage, literally. Before Hollywood came calling, Max served his country. In the late 1950s, he worked as a medical technician in the U.S. Air Force stationed at Gunter Air Force Base in Alabama. He learned discipline, precision, and how to handle pressure. He once told airmen that he wasn't fit to shine their shoes. He never forgot where he came from, and he always showed respect for those who served in combat. His service was honored on the Wall of Achievers at the Air Force Enlisted Heritage Hall. After leaving the military, Max went to Santa Clara University. There he earned a degree in business administration and even minored in philosophy. That mix of practical and thoughtful study shaped him in ways most fans never saw. People may have known him as Jethro, the not-so-bright country boy, but in real life, he had a sharp mind and a talent for business. That education helped him later on, especially when he began producing and directing. His professional acting career started in 1960 with Warner Brothers. He worked hard, taking small parts on shows like Maverick, 77 Sunset Strip, Surfside 6, Hawaiian Eye, and Cheyenne. These roles built his confidence. He learned the ropes, and by 1962, he was ready for his big break. That break came with the Beverly Hillbillies. In 1962, Max took on the role of Jethro Bodine. At 6'4", he fit the part perfectly. His silly charm was adored by the audience. The program aired from September 26, 1962 to March 23, 1971 for 9 seasons. It featured 168 episodes in color and 106 in black and white, totaling 274 episodes. The show was the most watched program in the United States at its height, with a rating of 39.1. However, things weren't that bright behind the scenes. In the first season, Max earned a meager $500 per episode. Reruns even later earned as low as $90, and maybe only $40 on the 6th repetition. The studio and the show's creator received the actual funds. Max Baer Jr. was more than just the Beverly Hillbillies Jethro. Additionally, he disguised himself as Jethro's twin sister, Jethro Bodine. 11 episodes featured Jethro. She was a towering woman with a deep voice, which made things even funnier since Baer stood 6'4". The producers couldn't find a woman that tall, so Baer put on a dress and wig. Linda Kay Henning, daughter of the show's creator, provided Jethro's voice. At first, Baer was nervous. He worried playing a woman might hurt his career. He later shared that when the producer asked if he had any problem playing a girl, he said no. He just wanted to know if it would help his career. He admitted the role wasn't easy. His look as Jethro fooled even his own brother, who didn't recognize him on screen. Fans were so curious that the show got letters asking if Jethro was played by a man or a woman. Baer's performance showed how versatile he was, but it also tied him even more to the Bodine image, making it harder for him to break free. When the show ended in 1971, Baer's troubles began. Hollywood couldn't see him as anything but Jethro. For 3 years, no one would hire him. He later said he took the role for the money and the job. But after the show, he realized he was basically unemployable. If he wanted to work, he'd have to create the work himself. So he shifted to filmmaking. In 1974, he wrote, produced, and starred in Macon County Line. The film cost just $100,000 to make, but earned over $35 million. Even then, the Jethro shadow followed him. His story became a classic example of how typecasting in Hollywood can crush careers. Baer was smart and determined, but he had to fight for every chance. In the end, he found success behind the camera because acting jobs stayed out of reach. Today, Baer is 87 and the last surviving main cast member of the Beverly Hillbillies. Donna Douglas, who played Ellie Mae, died in 2015. With her passing, Baer became the final link to the original Clampett family. He's often talked about what it means to be the last man standing. He remembers his castmates warmly and is touched by the lasting love fans have for the show. But there's sadness too. After Douglas's death, Baer said, "All the actors, producers, everybody on the show is gone. I'm the last man standing. Some of those shows, if you didn't laugh, you had to be a pretty strange person." They were as much slapstick as Chaplin. In 1974, Max Baer Jr. made a move that shocked Hollywood. He wrote, produced, and starred in Macon County Line, a gritty film about the rural South. The budget was just over $100,000. At a time when big studios spent millions on movies, people thought Baer was out of his mind. But what happened next was unbelievable. The film made more than $35 million at the box office and in rentals. That's over 350 times the budget. It became one of the most profitable films of the 1970s. Baer had shown the world that a small film could beat the giants of Hollywood. Riding high on that success, Baer pushed forward in 1975. He wrote, produced, and directed The Wild McCullochs. This was his first time as a director. He wasn't just acting anymore. He was controlling everything behind the scenes, too. The film stuck to his style. Rough Southern stories with real emotion. Baer proved that Macon County Line wasn't just luck. He could handle every part of filmmaking and still deliver powerful stories. Then in 1976, Baer changed Hollywood again with Ode to Billy Joe. He wrote, produced, and directed the film. But what made it special was his idea to base it on a hit song by Bobby Gentry. No one had done that before. It was smart. People already knew the song. They were curious to see the story behind it. The plan worked so well that today it's normal for studios to use song titles for films. But back then, Baer started it all. The film also tackled deep themes like family secrets and the weight of society's judgment, showing that even clever marketing could come with serious storytelling. Baer didn't stop at films. In 1991, he showed his strength in business. He went after ABC in court and won $2 million. The fight was over movie rights to Madonna's hit song, Like a Virgin. Baer had been trying to turn the song into a film, but ABC got in the way. He didn't let them win. His victory sent a message to Hollywood. Don't mess with Baer when it comes to business deals. That same year, Baer made another bold move. He signed a major licensing deal with CBS. This deal gave him rights to the Beverly Hillbillies name and character, especially Jethro. Baer dreamed of turning that into a chain of restaurants, hotels, and casinos. He imagined slot machines, BBQ sauces, and themed hotels, all with the Hillbillies brand. The deal sounded like a gold mine, but it would end up creating more trouble than he ever expected. He called CBS' secret settlement with Jethro's BBQ one of the worst settlement agreements I've ever seen. Price argued that the 1991 deal was clear. Had the exclusive right to profit from the Jethro Bodine character through themed businesses. But when CBS found out in 2008 that Jethro's BBQ was cashing in, they didn't protect Baer's rights. Instead, they cut their own deal with the restaurant. Fry said this robbed Baer of future earnings and destroyed the value of his licensing rights. He painted CBS as a giant willing to betray its partners to make a quick settlement, leaving Baer blindsided after years of investment. In August 2015, Baer's case fell apart. Judge Delilah Corral Lyons dismissed 4 out of his 5 claims: breach of contract, interference, fraud, and conversion. Only the declaratory judgment requests survive. The judge said Baer's complaint didn't show he had the rights he claimed. Fraze argued that the ruling stripped Baer of any chance at compensation. He insisted CBS had no right to make deals with third parties without Baer's approval, but the judge didn't budge. She said, "Problem you have is the complaint does not provide for any of the rights you've alleged." Baer's legal fight was crumbling. In February 2017, it ended for good. The judge dismissed Baer's final claim, the breach of contract charge. That ruling killed any hope Baer had left. The court said that even if Baer had those rights, there was no proof he lost money from the CBS deal with Jethro's BBQ. Baer could only watch as the restaurant kept using the show's elements. He said the settlement made his rights worthless. After years in court, Baer walked away defeated. The most painful part was what that secret deal with Jethro's BBQ really did. It freed the restaurant from having to pay Baer anything. After nearly $2 million investments and years of work, Baer was left with rights no one wanted. As he put it, No restaurant would consider working with him because Jethro's BBQ already had the green light. Max Baer Jr. His marriage to Joanne Kathleen Hill began at the peak of his fame. In 1965, he spotted her picture on a billboard along Sunset Boulevard. That moment sparked a romance that moved fast. They married privately in 1966. Only close friends and family were there. Baer was riding high as Jethro Bodine on the Beverly Hillbillies, and America knew his face. For 5 years, the couple tried to make it work, dreamed of starting a family. Hill, on the other hand, was focused on her acting career. That difference pulled them apart. By 1971, they were divorced. There were no children. Baer later admitted he didn't think he could be the kind of father his own dad had been. That was his only marriage. The split marked not just the end of a relationship, but a turning point in Baer's personal life. Years later, in 2008, Baer's name was back in the headlines for a very different reason. At 71, he was living with 30-year-old Cherie Rhodes, a penthouse model. The age gap between them was over 40 years. People talked. The relationship defied expectations, but it ended in heartbreak. In January 2008, Rhodes took her own life at their home in Lake Tahoe. Baer found her and called 911. She was taken off life support a few days later. The tragedy cast a long shadow. It showed both Baer's charm and the chaos that often surrounded his private world. Baer's family story added to the weight he carried. His brother, James Manny Baer, died in 2009 at 68. His sister, Maud Marion Baer, born in 1943 or 1944, has stayed out of the public eye. After their father, boxing champion Max Baer Sr., died of a heart attack in 1959, the family splintered. Max Jr. chased stardom. James lived a quieter life. Maud chose privacy. As of 2025, Max Jr. remains the last public link to the Baer name. Maud, now in her 80s, is the final private tie to that once famous family. Baer's later years revealed a man shaped by betrayal and loss. He began carrying a loaded 9mm glove and a black fanny pack. He also kept other firearms at his Lake Tahoe home. He talked openly about protecting himself from muggers, intruders, punks. Legal battles, especially with CBS over the Beverly Hillbillies name, fed his distrust. He even joked about putting enough lead in them to sink them. His words painted a picture of a man who felt the world was out to get him. Life in Lake Tahoe became his refuge. By 69, Baer lived like a recluse. Locals recognized him for his unusual outfits: billowy black sweatpants, red windbreaker, sleeveless shirts, and Ugg boots. He dined alone. He played golf alone. His house was filled with memories of his career and family, and it doubled as his fortress. Baer had undergone 3 hair transplants starting in the 1970s. He dyed his hair jet black to match his thin mustache. The look helped him cling to the image fans remembered. Max Baer Jr.'s story is one of resilience, frustration, and a determination that never faded. His net worth is estimated at $50 million in 2025. That wealth didn't come easy. After playing Jethro Bodine in the Beverly Hillbillies was typecast. Many doors slammed shut, but Baer refused to quit. He shifted into producing and directing. His 1974 film, Macon County Line, cost just $225,000 to make. It earned over $19 million for decades. It held the record for the highest grossing film per dollar spent. That record stood until The Blair Witch Project came along in 1999. Baer didn't stop there. He secured the rights from CBS to use the Beverly Hillbillies branding for casinos, slot machines, and restaurants. It was a brilliant move. He even tried to open a full Beverly Hillbillies-themed casino. It would have had a replica of Granny's Shotgun Shack and Jethro's 24-hour rib joint. Legal fights and local opposition got in the way, but his investments in real estate and licensing deals kept building his fortune. In 2005, faced a battle that hit much closer to home. Ron Howard's film, Cinderella Man, came out. It painted Baer's father, heavyweight boxing champion Max Baer Sr., as a heartless villain. Baer Jr. couldn't stand it. He went on TV and radio again and again. Defending his father's name, he explained that his father was haunted by guilt after the 1930 death of Frankie Campbell in the ring. SR had nightmares about it for the rest of his life. The clowning in the ring, it was how he tried to cope with that guilt. Seeing his father reduced to a cartoon villain left Baer Jr. in tears. He fought hard to set the record straight, driven by a deep need to protect his father's memory. As of 2025, is the last surviving main cast member of the Beverly Hillbillies. The show once drew over 60 million viewers. It was the top series in America for 2 straight years. Baer's Jethro Bodine became part of TV history, but being the last one left is bittersweet. His co-stars, Buddy Ebsen, Irene Ryan, Donna Douglas, are all gone. Alone carries the weight of keeping the show's legacy alive. Fans still ask for his autograph and share memories of the Clampetts. Every time, Baer is reminded that he's the last living link to a show that shaped television. At 87, Baer is still fighting to be seen for more than Jethro. Despite his success as a businessman and filmmaker, the shadow of that character followed him. He once said that when he turned 50, he was about as much in demand as cancer. So he decided to use Jethro's image, licensing it for slot machines and casinos. But his dream of a full Beverly Hillbillies casino kept hitting roadblocks, zoning fights, lawsuits, delays. The plan never fully came to life. Baer has admitted how much being typecast hurt him, but he keeps pushing. He wants the world to see that he was more than a single sitcom role. He wants respect. And even now, he's still fighting for it.